A U-turn by the British government as it confirms all primary schools in London are to remain closed for the start of term. The city's mayor said the government had finally seen sense. Research confirms the new coronavirus variant discovered in the UK has a much quicker rate of transmission. The variant has now been identified in at least 18 countries around the world.
If the new variant is now present, with this increase in the R number, all of a sudden, instead of a decrease of 30%, we get a massive increase. The number of cases over the same period could triple. So this is more or less the most serious change in the virus that we've seen.
The US struggles to roll out the COVID vaccine as the number of cases continues to surge to above 20 million, according to the Johns Hopkins University.
We start here in Japan, where the Tokyo metropolitan government has confirmed 783 new cases of coronavirus in the capital on Friday. Tokyo's daily tally of new cases reached an all-time high of 1,337 on Thursday, exceeding 1,000 for the first time. There have been 60,960 confirmed coronavirus cases so far in Tokyo. The surge in infections isn't just limited to Tokyo. On Thursday, the number of new cases reported in neighboring Kanagawa Prefecture was its highest so far for a single day. 470 new cases have been reported there on Friday, the highest tally for Friday.
It won't be too much longer before medical services are stretched to the breaking point. Please stay at home if you can, and only go out when necessary.
Across Japan, 3,247 new infections were reported on Friday. Nationwide, there were 49 deaths from COVID-19. People across Japan are celebrating the new year amid reinforced measures to prevent the spread of the virus. Many gathered at Cape Nosapu in the northern prefecture of Hokkaido to watch the first sunrise of the year.
The sunrise doesn't change every year, no matter what happens in the world.
The pandemic put the brakes on the tradition of visiting a shrine overnight on New Year's Eve. Meiji Jingu, a major shrine in Tokyo, opened its gates at 6 a.m. Masked worshippers were seen keeping a meter apart from one another to toss coins into a giant offering box.
The staff pay attention to lines and social distancing. We also try not to get too close to each other.
I pray that the coronavirus will subside quickly, so we can once again have time to meet with other people.
Visitors can buy arrow amulets and good luck charms at the shrine, but they're not allowed to touch items before purchasing them. Department stores in Japan are gearing up to start selling special New Year bargains known as lucky bags. To avoid congestion, sets containing food items are sold on a different level from the food section.
We're taking these special measures to allow our customers to spend time in our stores with peace of mind.
The department store put about 70% of its lucky bags on sale at the end of last year as an additional way of reducing crowds. Japan's emperor has expressed concern for people affected by the coronavirus pandemic in a New Year video message.
Minasan, Shinnen, omedetou gozaimasu. Omedetou gozaimasu.
This is the first time that Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako have addressed the public in a video message. The emperor expressed concern for those who are facing difficulties.
この感染症により、私たちの日常は大きく変わりました。特に感染拡大の影響を受けて、仕事や住まいを失うなど困窮し、あるいは孤独に陥るなど、様々な理由により困難な状況に置かれている人々の身の上を案じています。
The emperor thanked healthcare workers and other people for their efforts in protecting lives. He also conveyed his hope that people will support each other and move forward in these difficult times.
感染症が収まり、再び皆さんと直接お会いできる日を心待ちにしています。そして今年が 皆さんにとって希望を持って歩んでいくことのできる年になることを心から願います。
The Empress expressed her concern about the impact of ongoing winter storms.
この冬は早くから各地で厳しい寒さや大雪に見舞われています。どうぞ皆様くれぐれもお体を大切にお過ごしいただきますように。
The imperial family's traditional New Year greetings at the Imperial Palace have been canceled this year due to the spread of the coronavirus. A powerful cold air mass and a typical winter pressure pattern are causing heavy snow to accumulate in areas along the Sea of Japan. More snow is expected to continue falling through Sunday in the Tohoku and Hokuriku regions and Niigata Prefecture. The snow is settling on lower ground as well as in mountainous areas. Japan's meteorological agency is advising people to keep updated on transport routes that could be affected. It is advising them to be on the alert for snow sliding from rooftops, possible avalanches, and blackouts caused by snow piling on trees and overhead electric cables. The winter pressure pattern is forecast to bring more snow around the country well into the latter half of next week. The New Year countdown in New York's Times Square has been held for more than 110 years and usually draws large crowds, but this time things were different. For the first time ever, organizers banned attendance by members of the public due to the coronavirus pandemic. Police blocked off access to the iconic location. Instead, frontline healthcare workers were invited. The event was live streamed on the internet. Confetti bearing people's wishes for the new year fluttered into the night sky. In the United States, deaths from the coronavirus have exceeded 340,000. The fight against the pandemic will be the biggest immediate challenge for President-elect Joe Biden. Japan and the United Kingdom have begun a new economic partnership agreement which came into effect on Friday. The two nations signed the accord last October following Britain's departure from the European Union. The new agreement is based on the existing economic partnership agreement between Japan and the EU. It calls for abolishing tariffs in 2026 on Japan's automobile exports and for no new tariffs on Japan's farm product imports. The agreement also sets tighter rules in the field of e-commerce. They include restricting government intervention in data exchanges for business purposes. Japanese businesses in Britain will also avoid tariffs on their products to be exported to the EU based on the deal between the UK and the EU. The chairman of the Japan Business Federation has called for an increase in digitization in order to spur economic growth. Keidanren chief Nakanishi Hiroaki said the coronavirus has caused the Japanese economy to undergo major structural changes, such as working from home.
I'd like to make 2021 a year which will accelerate new ways of growth.
He also pointed out that discussions on Japan's energy sector have not made sufficient progress during the past decade.
I personally believe nuclear power should be utilized because it is the brainchild of mankind. But discussion should be reviewed from a broad perspective.
He added fundamental discussions should take place on whether nuclear power reactors in Japan should be restarted, as well as on renewable energy sources.
We start the new year, health is at the top of so many people's minds as we try to turn the corner on this pandemic. Dr. Jen Ashton joins us now with a look at what we can expect in 2021. Dr. Jen, great to have you this morning. You know, our health priorities totally changed in 2020. Now in the new year, we have a vaccine that can give us so much hope. How do you think our health priorities change more?
Well, Tom, I think that the silver lining, if you will, in the past year is that it's really brought to the forefront, yes, as you said, a refocusing on health and wellness and prevention of disease, but it's also introducing this concept of how to assess risk versus benefit, not just in terms of whether or not someone should get the vaccine, but literally whether or not we should go to the grocery store, whether or not we should get together with friends and family. So to go through that risk versus benefit, it's really pretty straightforward. I want to encourage people to learn how to think like a doctor. 4 questions you want to ask. What's the risk of doing something? What's the risk of not doing something? What's the benefit of doing something? And what's the benefit of not doing something?
So let's take your blueprint and let's put the vaccine there. And again, remind our viewers why it's so important to take this vaccine.
Okay, so, a lot of people, and rightly so, Tom, are saying, well, the risk of death of COVID-19 for all comers is relatively low. That's true. But you also have to assess the risk of long-term COVID syndrome, which is thought to occur 30% of the time, producing potentially debilitating side effects. So that's a real risk. And then the risk not just to you, but to those around you, to your ability to earn a living, to go to work, et cetera, et cetera. So that goes under risks of not getting the vaccine. Risks of the vaccine, let's take allergic reaction, less than around 1 per 1 million doses overall for other vaccines. And, the risk of a short-term side effect, anywhere from 10 to 30%, like fatigue, muscle aches, that's not too serious. Benefits of getting the vaccine, 94-95% reduction in risk of getting COVID-19. Benefits of not getting it, kind of a question mark. So when you ask those 4 questions, you get 4 good answers that can help guide your decision.
Dr. Jen, staying at home, so much anxiety over COVID-19, it's affected the way people eat. What tips do you have for about the way people eat and what they should do going into the new year?
Well, it sure has, Tom, and you know that I also have a degree in nutrition. I think people should think about the 4 S's in their eating plan this year. Things should be safe, simple, sustainable, and they should focus on that added sugar. So turn those packages around, look at added sugar. For women, it should be no more than 25 grams a day. For men, about 36 grams of added sugar a day, maximum.
Okay, finally, Dr. Jen, 2020 has been so rough. We are so excited that things will change in 2021, but we do have to talk about mental health because it's affected nearly all of us, right? I mean, being at home, dealing with the loss of life, living in fear of COVID-19. How do we get through this year?
All those effects very real. People are saying that this might be the second pandemic of mental illness, things like PTSD, anxiety, depression up dramatically. I think we need to remember, check up from the neck up. It's okay to not be okay, and reach out for help from a trained mental health professional, social worker, psychologist, psychiatrist. Just talk about your feelings. We are all experiencing these feelings to one extent or another, and it's okay.
Always better to talk about them. Dr. Jen, thank you for all that you've done for us and for our viewers. Happy New Year. Here's to a much better 2021.
Tom. You too. Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year.
We're going to turn out of the year in politics, and oof, what a year it was. The impeachment trial of a president, a hard-fought primary campaign, a national election that went on and on and on. So let's take a look back and a look ahead with our powerhouse political duo. And more importantly, my friends, John Carl and Mary Bruce, Happy New Year to you guys. Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Okay, Mary, I'm going to start with you. Joe Biden's list of everything he said he wanted to do on day one is a really long one. What's realistic on day one and beyond? What can he actually pull off?
This list is massive. He has outlined a very busy day one in office. Obviously, the first priority here is tackling the pandemic. We've begun to get a sense of where he's going to start. Biden says he's going to be asking all Americans to wear a mask for the first 100 days, requiring them where he can. He's also promising to get kids safely back into schools and vowing that there will be 100 million shots in the first 100 days, vaccinating 50 million Americans. But take a look at what else is on this very lengthy list. He has said he wants to send Congress a bill on immigration reform, wants to pass hate crime legislation,